Hello, it's Hannah. I've been collecting perfume for longer than I have been making YouTube videos, and one of the bottles that I've had for a really long time, maybe one of the bottles that I've had the longest, is Marc Jacobs Daisy. I got this in 2008. I think the original came out in 2007, and basically fell in love with it right away. I was invited to a launch party when this perfume was out, and we all walked away with bottles of it, and I wore it all of 2008. I had tons of friends that wore it too, so really enjoyed wearing this perfume for a long time. And it actually smells very similar to Byredo's Mojave Ghost, so nice to keep around because it's a good reminder that you don't have to seek out niche or really expensive perfumes to smell good. Sometimes, you can get something that's very similar for not as much money. So I just keep it around for the memories. I don't really wear this a lot anymore. But today we are talking about Perfect Eau de Toilette by Marc Jacobs, and you can see that they share a very similar aesthetic, so really quirky bottle stoppers and really similar bottle shape. This was gifted to me by their PR company, and I love smelling everything, so I was super grateful for that. I love the cap on this because it is just so interesting and has a lot going on, and you can see that it really tries to attract the same type of customer, I think. I think that the Marc Jacobs brand is, whether you're talking about the clothes or you're talking about the handbags, or I've had a few Marc Jacobs handbags in my time. It is kind of a quirky, cool girl, uptown aesthetic. This person has some money to spend on fragrance, clothing, handbags, doesn't want something that's totally buttoned up. She doesn't necessarily want something that's borrowed from her mom. She wants her own thing. And, Daisy was certainly that when it came out. The perfumer behind this is Alberto Morillas, and Perfect is that as well because they both share a similar dry down. They definitely have a DNA that kind of connects them, a thread that is common through both of these perfumes. And I love that. I love that when you smell one, you can remember the other. I love that about Chanel. I love that about Guerlain. So they've definitely kept that. The dry down of Perfect, while we're talking about dry downs, the dry down of Perfect is a musky cashmerean, which is also blended with ISO E. So ISO E smells a lot like cedarwood, but it is fixative. It has a really tenacious lasting power. It has good sillage. It kind of amplifies other notes, but is also a scent in and of itself. So if that's what you smell, excuse me, if that's what you smell when you are wearing Perfect, then you're probably smelling some ISO E, and it is mixed with cashmere in both of the perfumes. So Perfect is a fresh and floral perfume, especially in the Eau de Toilette version. It really does wear a little bit brighter and a little bit fresher than the Eau de Parfum. They're not the same scent, so they don't smell exactly the same, but they do share similarities. The main floral that I can smell when I smell Perfect is freesia, and I guess like the scent of freesia really reminds me of, like drugstore shampoo. Like to me, this reminds me a lot of Pantene Pro V, or the scent of another like strongly scented shampoo, just like shampoos in like the shampoo aisle in the drugstore. That's what this smells like, and that's a great smell. Like that's clean, it's really fresh, it's not offensive to anybody. But because it's in a Eau de Toilette and not in a shampoo, I find that it lasts a really long time. And that's probably because of the ISO E. I feel that you know, I could smell one spray of this throughout the whole day when I wore it, and it had pretty good sillage for the first couple of hours where you could smell it arm's length away. And then as the day wore on, you know, I still had that fresh floral scent, but it wasn't as big, it wasn't as loud, and it wasn't reaching everybody in the room, which is exactly what I want, you know? If I spray this on at like 6 or 7 a.m. in the morning, by the time it's 9 or 10 o'clock, I don't want everybody to smell it. I just want some people to smell it when they're around me, and that's definitely what I got from Perfect. So I think that if you're looking for a good office safe scent, or something that's safe for school and very casual situations, then Perfect is really good for that, because it is really, you know, innocuous and gentle because of its character, you know. I personally have been wearing a lot of ambers recently, so not really scents that are like Perfect, and maybe it's because of that contrast. I could really smell Perfect for a long time, whereas the ambers I feel like I've gotten a little bit anosmic to. So I will say that this does have really long lasting power. Now I'll say that ISO-E is a ingredient that you can become anosmic to, and you can spray it on yourself and you don't feel like you're smelling it, but everybody around you can smell it so strongly because they're not the ones that are wearing that same perfume every single day. I used to have a friend that wore Marc Jacobs Daisy all the time, and she came to pick me up in her car one day, and I was like, oh, I can smell your perfume. It smells so good. You're wearing Daisy. And she was like, how can you smell that? I can't smell it at all. And she said, I think there's something wrong with my bottle because I spray so much of it and I can't smell it. And she had just gotten anosmic to the scent. So I would say don't go overboard with this. Probably if you can't smell it, it's time to take a break and switch to something else maybe that doesn't have that in the dry down. But if you can smell 1 or 2 sprays for the whole entire day, I think you're safe. But there is always that danger with scents that use a lot of ISO-E. And I will say that it's not just drugstore perfumes that have that. There's a lot of perfumes that are really expensive that are on the market, and there's a lot of ISO-E and other aroma chemicals in the base that you might not be able to smell if that's the perfume that you're wearing every single day. And, you know, Mojave Ghost is a great example of that, because if Daisy's doing that, then guaranteed that one is doing it too, and that's like a $300 perfume, right? So I love the fresh and clean aesthetic of this one. I love the quirkiness of the bottle, and I think that if this bottle attracts you, then probably you will really enjoy the scent. If you liked Daisy, I bet you will like this also. And if you liked Perfect Eau de Parfum, I think you should try the Eau de Toilette, because you will likely also enjoy that. It's just a lightened up, more fresh version for the summer. Thanks for watching. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.